I made two really cute Valentine cards today using brand new products from Simon Hurley. Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome to my channel. Okay, I'm going to start with my backgrounds first, and I'm going to just do some ink blending. This one I'm just going to do ink blending really quick and easy with spun sugar all over the whole background. I do have everything listed and linked for you guys below in the description. I do get affiliate links, but it costs you guys nothing extra to use them. And if any of these products are sold out, just hit the notify me button and you will get an email or a text or however they do it so you know when it comes back into stock. Okay, so we're going to start with our first background of the layered Puffy Hearts stencil. And there's 3 stencils to this, and we're going to do some ink on with 2 of the stencils, and then the third stencil, we're going to bring in some solar paste. So this is Kitsch Flamingo for my first inking. We're going to be using Cross My Heart solar paste on this card, and then Cross My Heart solar spray on the next card. So we're going to do something just a little bit different on both cards, but similar colors, just a little bit of a different technique. The second card, we're going to be using the Puffy Hearts 3D embossing folder, and it is so cute, you guys. The hearts really are puffy. Okay, so I've got that lined up, and now I'm going to use Picked Raspberry. So I'm going from light to dark, and then when we bring in that solar paste, it really is soft, but when you tilt it into the light, it changes color. It's very pink, but when you put it on, it almost looks like a vanilla color, or yeah. But as soon as you tilt it into the light, which I'll show you later on in the video, I might show you after I do it here, I don't know. But it just changes, and that's what's kind of fun about the solar paste. So I've got my third stencil. I have my paper and my stencil placed on my grip mate from scrapbook.com, and it's sticky, so it holds everything in place, which is really nice. And then you can just clean it off really, really easy. I am trying to make sure I don't go too thick with my stencil paste because I don't want it to take forever to dry because I'm impatient. But when I was putting the card together, it still was a little bit tacky, so I was extra careful. So I would say let this dry probably an hour or so. I don't think it was that long, or maybe 2 hours. It probably would be good to finish putting the card together, but I wouldn't put it in an envelope till like the next day if you're going to mail it off. Okay, so now that we have that set aside to dry, we are going to do an ombre effect with our pink inks on white cardstock. I'm using mixed media white cardstock from scrapbook.com. It's really thick, and I do love it for a background. So I started with Picked Raspberry, now I'm doing Kitsch Flamingo, and then I'm going to bring in spun sugar. So let's get that last little bit blended here, and I'm just using some Dome Foam blender tools. I love these for inking backgrounds because it gets really saturated, which if I'm doing a background, I want some ink on there, if that makes sense. So that's what I used for there, and then we're going to put this in our 3D embossing folder and run this through our die cut machine. And it turns out so cute, you guys. This is the one that we're going to use the, oh my gosh, what's it called? Cross My Heart Solar Spray. I'm going to spray this whole background. Now, because the ink that I used is oxide ink, it is water reactive. So when I'm spraying this on here, it's going to leave or create droplets because it's reacting, but it's also going to leave a shine. I don't mind the droplets at all. If you didn't want that, use not an oxide ink, not a water reactive ink. Use a dye ink or something for ink blending, but I think it came out beautiful and I love it. So I'm giving that a good shake. I think I had to take the wrapper off, sorry. But you want to shake it up really good. Make sure none of this stuff is left at the bottom. You really want it to be good and mixed so your spray gets on here really nicely. Okay, so I think I'm about ready to spray. I'm going to give it a really good spritz. I'm just going to spray it on my paper towel first, and then I'm going to spray over that. I think I did it 3 times, but I got a really good coverage. And so I'll show that to you at the end. I'm going to let that dry. Then we have our Darling Dog die from Simon Hurley. I have die cut 2 dogs, and we're just going to do a little bit of ink blending. I'm using Alabaster and Fawn cardstock here from Spellbinders. I used a little bit of antique linen, and I'm going to use gathered twigs to just ink up the dogs here. We're going to have a lighter color dog and a darker color dog. There is 2 sentiments in the die. They can have different faces, different muzzles. So same dog die, 2 different muzzles that I'm going to be using. There are hearts, little envelopes, which I think is so cute. The collar for the dog with 3 different styles of dog tags, and cute little, oh my gosh, a little headband with hearts on it. So we're going to create these darling little dogs, and I want to just get this ink blending going on them. I want them to have a little bit of character that way, but you don't have to do that. And again, I'm doing this on my Gripmate. I think I was looking up the photo so I knew what pieces I needed. And let's bring in our darker dog here, and I'm going to be using ground espresso on him, and I'm going to I'm going to give him 2 colors of ears. So one ear is going to match his little chest fur and his muzzle fur. So I'm going to use frayed burlap for that lighter color, and then ground espresso for the darker of the dog. So this is Acorn, the lighter color cardstock, and Truffle, the darker color cardstock from Spellbinders. And I'm just using my little sponge daubers to ink those guys up. They're cute little paws. You're going to pop out the little holes in those, and there's little die cuts for their little toe beans. So you could create those in any color that you want. Okay, let's start putting our dogs together. So it's just the upper body. There's not legs or anything like that, which is kind of good in a way, because I am going to use the emerald cut labels dies to create frames for our card, and that is going to give us a place to tuck the bottom of our dog in. Let me get his face together. So you have his ears. There's some other little pieces for ears. He's got a tuft of hair that goes on top of his head, makes him very expressive. So this dog is going to just be darker in color in general, and then the other dog is going to be a tad bit lighter, but the ears lay on just like that. So you can see we've got a lighter and a darker ear. We've got his muzzle, there's his nose, his mouth, and his little tongue, which is so cute. His eyes, there's his little foot pad. So I'm just going to add some liquid glue behind the feet, and then I can just touch it to those little pads, and they're good. And I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive on the back of the head, because I want the head a little bit popped up from the body. I feel like that gives it a tiny bit of dimension, but I have a little bit too much here. So I'm going to take some of this foam adhesive off, and I can just save that for a piece later. We have his little eyebrows, which are cute. So I've got little pieces that can go behind that. So again, he is die cut from oh my gosh, my brain just totally drew a blank. Acorn and Truffle. And then black cardstock. Then we've got his eyes that we're going to pop into place. And this guy is going to be having the cute little heart headband. And the other dog is going to have the little envelopes full of love letters, which is really, really cute. So I'm just going to add some dots of glue. I'm using my Pick Pro tool. It's got a poiky end. Well, it has a few little ends, but I use on this one the poiky end and the little wax end. And that's easy to pick things up. Now, I glued his tongue on first, but I forgot to grab his other piece, so I'm going to fix that here in just a minute. So let me scooch that out of the way, get that in place. And you really can see how easy these little guys are to put together. Even though there's a few little die cuts, they're super simple to put together. There's these other little pieces to his ears that go kind of on the inside, so you can make them really dark like a shadow. So I ink blended those a little bit with the ground espresso, and then I'm just going to lay those down, kind of inlay those. I think I put the one in wrong first. I'm going to scooch that over to the other side. And we have his little hair on top. really, really cute. Isn't he darling? I love him. And then we'll put the rest of him together in just a minute. Let's get our second dog put together. Now this muzzle is different. He has a white muzzle, but you can also see there's kind of a stripe going up from the top where the other muzzle doesn't. So you can get a couple of different looking dogs, even though everything else is kind of basically the same. And then we have his ears that we can put in place here. He's just really, really cute. I think this dog has got a great expression to his face. This is perfect for anything birthday, Valentine's, obviously. Congratulations. Just really, like, you're awesome. You're one of a kind kind of cards. I think that this is a really cute die. Okay, so we got his little ears in place. Let's put his little tuft of hair. Isn't that cute? And then we're going to add his eyebrows. So I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue on the back and then place those down, and that gives us the color through there. We have his nose and of course his mouth and his tongue that we'll put in place. And then we have his little eyeballs one more time. Oh my gosh, look at his little expression. It's just coming to life. And when I glue these to the heads to the body, I'm going to put them at a little bit of a tilt, which gives them a little bit more character. If I could find my action wobblers, the little head on an action wobbler would be really, really darling. I just have no idea where I put them. And every time I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to order some. And then I don't ever order any. Okay, a little bit of foam adhesive behind his head. And then let's do his pads to his feet. And then we can do the collar. So the collar has 3 different designs. I just chose the heart, and I die cut that from Pomegranate cardstock. And then I also used a gold mirror cardstock, and I'm going to alternate. So one has the front of the little tag is red with a gold heart. The other one is the front of the tag is gold with a red heart. Here's the little headband with the little hearts. I think is so cute. And then let's glue these down, our solid pieces, and then we can glue our heart pieces on. And then we can get these guys adhered together. And it really is easy to put the rest of the card together. There is 2 die cut sentiments like I mentioned. One says I love you, one says sending hugs. Here are those little envelopes. The bigger hearts go on there, but I've also had a third smaller heart from the die set, so I just used 3 or 2 different sizes of hearts. I'm going to add his head to his body. Again, just a little adhesive to pop it up for dimension, and a little bit, tilted so he has some character. And then add those little hearts. Isn't that so cute? And then we're going to place the collar on. I love all of these little details. I think they make these dies so fun. Let's put our second dog together, and then we can finish up the backgrounds and the sentiment and then put these guys on our cute cards. And these are going to be A2 size cards, so they'll be using an A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, I have these 2 frames. This is the emerald cut labels. I'm going to layer these inside so I can cut out a frame, because the inside of this larger die doesn't cut, just the outside. So I have to put that little piece inside, and I'm going to do that twice because I want 2 frames. And then for the sentiments, there's 2 sentiments. I am using Pomegranate cardstock. I'm going to put the frame around the sentiment and die cut that out. And then I'm also going to take that frame and die cut out 2 pieces of white cardstock. Then I can layer these, and you can see the white through the sentiment because all the little letters pop out once you run that through the die cut machine. So we have our sending hugs and our I love you. All right, here is that frame. I die cut it from white cardstock. I'm adding 2mm foam adhesive behind this. Of course, I want to have dimension because we're going to tuck our dog behind. This is like the perfect size frame for what I was going for with this card. And it's a fun shape. So I'm going to kind of center this in the middle, but towards the top, because I know I want my sentiment at the bottom. And I'm just going to add a few dots of liquid glue just to give it a little extra something to hold it in place, because we have ink and spray on that background. I'm going to add foam adhesive. So I added my frame for both backgrounds, and here is that solar paste background. So I am being kind of careful because again, it still is a little tacky because I was being impatient. I ran out of my 2mm foam adhesive, so I doubled up my 1mm foam adhesive behind my dog, and he's going to tuck right down in there. And his little arms go out past the frame, or on top of the frame, which I think is fantastic. Look how cute he is. And then I'm going to place a sentiment right down here at the bottom. And we're going to do a little bit of embellishing, of course, but let's add the letters. To me, it's like he's throwing all his love letters up in the air. He's so excited about them. So a little bit of liquid glue and foam adhesive, because this is going to be laying on top of that frame somewhat. So that is popped up, so you need your letters to be popped up. One more time. How cute. Let's do our other dog. And he is on the 3D embossed background. So I'm creating 2mm foam adhesive behind him. And he has the sending hugs sentiment, which is perfect because his little arms are out, so you can, make it however you want. And then place that sentiment there. Then I am using some clay hearts. So I've got some here at the top, some red clay hearts. I have some down on each side of the sentiment, a pink and white one. And then I have a little red heart on each of the puppy dog's chest, because I think that's so cute. It just gives them a little something extra. So let me get those glued down. And then we can take a look at these up close. These die cuts are cute. Look at that stencil paste, that solar paste on the background, how pink that is. It's so pretty. And then this card, of course, has the solar spray on the background and all of these brand new dies from Simon Hurley, and the stencil and embossing folder is pretty amazing. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video, and I'll be back soon with another one. Bye!